Hey, what's up guys? It's Robster and this is Gameweek 7 team selection. Quickly looking at the history over this past game weeks, and the wild card played in Gameweek 4 has proved to be crucial. The meteoric rise from being outside the 2 million mark to now sitting around the 600,000 mark in the world is exceptional, climbing consistently week after week from 2 million, 200,000, straight away to 1.3 million after the wild card, then to 900,000, and then to in the 600,000. So the rise has been really good, and I hope to stabilize or see a green arrow again. I want to stay within the top 700,000 after this week. A lot of managers right now are playing wildcards, so they might have a slight edge where my wildcard was slightly earlier, but I still believe my squad is really good. Maybe one or two transfers and one or two injuries that have come to not look so good in my squad, but otherwise I'm really hopeful and really excited, and I still like my team. I still like the shape of it, and I'm really confident. Going to what happened in game week 6. Really good week in general. Some of the players didn't come off, but if you look, 5 of my top 6 players in midfield and attack scored a goal. Jota, Salah, Sarr, Raphinha and Jimenez all scored a goal. The output from them is really good. The only place where my team really struggled a little bit is with my captaincy pick. Picking Ronaldo as your captain is never a bad option, but unfortunately, out of all my midfielders and out of all my attackers, Ronaldo as my captain was the only one not to score a goal. If, for instance, that captain was on Salah, for example, points difference would be quite more, and I would be looking at a higher number, maybe within the top 600,000. Going on to the defense, Semedo finally pulled through. I was really confident in him, and the fixture runs look exceptional. The rest of my midfield and my defense didn't come off as I wanted it to. Arsenal were dominant against Spurs, and Spurs had a lucky breakaway goal. And I was really confident the whole game until that happened, and I'm very unfortunate, but I still think my call was right to stick with the clean sheet possibility for Ben White. Duffy and Brighton, a bit on the disappointing side against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have been an up and down team. They looked really good one week, looked bad the other week. But conceding against Crystal Palace, when I doubled up for Brighton, is something you have to take on. Yes, you're going for the value pick as a 4.2 million defender, not a lot of money in there, but you're still hopeful. Looking forward, Arsenal is there, but Arsenal's attack did look really good over the last 2 weeks. And then it's Norwich. So the next 2 weeks are really good, but then it's City and Liverpool, which you don't want to play for. So I'm still a bit undecided about what to do with the Duffy and Sanchez double up. A lot of people are going for Ramsdale in goal now, but I've already got Ben White. So what should I do? Maybe I should spend more money and replace maybe Duffy on a key player. But as you can see, there's an injury. An injury happened last week, and Trent looks out. He looks out until after the international break. They say he's expected to be back after the game, after the international break. But with groin injuries, you never know. They could last a little bit longer. But one thing I'm pleased with, Jota. First goal in 4 games. He had to come off in that fixture run, and he did, at least once. And I'm quite happy. We're looking into the fixture turn with City and United, either side of the international break, and the imminent return of Roberto Firmino, and the mass sale of Jota for his price being dropped soon means he's probably next to go. So going in to look as the recap from last week, can I be happy? I'll take it. Not a big red arrow, so you be settled. I went up. My game week rank was only like 800,000, but I think a lot of the big players struggled last week due to many of their squads getting to the end of their cycle before their wildcards. One person I'm quite disappointed in is Ferran Torres, to be fair. He started 7 games in a row in all competitions, and then all of a sudden back-to-back games of 0 minutes. A lot of people have sold him off, but I had more urgent needs that I had to fill. And if you look at it, he's been rested back-to-back games, and we have struggled to score in both of those games. So maybe that is a sign, listen, Ferran Torres needs to get back in the game. Both home games when he started, we scored 5. Back-to-back games where we struggled to score. So yes, City's playing Liverpool, but after that it's Burnley, Brighton and Crystal Palace. So do you take him out now and then run the risk that he maybe starts against Burnley and scores a hat-trick? Because as striker for City, it can happen against a struggling Burnley team. And then Brighton and Crystal Palace aren't bad fixtures. There's still a lot of indecision about who's the number 1 striker for City. We saw Foden playing there, Sterling play there, Torres played there a lot in the beginning of the season. Who's it going to be for the Burnley fixture? So I might risk keeping Torres and having him for that punt. I'm calling it a punt now because of the back-to-back games of no minutes. If he can start at the end of the international break at home against Burnley, it's well worth the wait. So going straight into that, what is my team selection for this week? And the fixtures for this week, it's in a really exciting weekend of footy. Manchester United and Everton, that's a really big game. Man United's form has been a little bit sloppy. Everton have looked really impressive, but it stays Man United at home. It's a big game. Going on, Chelsea and Southampton. Chelsea have also looked a little bit sloppy over the last weeks. The attack hasn't looked as threatening as it should do. Even in the game against Aston Villa where they won 3-0, the chance creation wasn't as big as it normally is. Southampton have been really solid in defense, notably keeping a clean sheet against Man City. And looking further into midday kickoffs, Leeds and Watford is a big game, a very exciting game. Wingers like Sarr and Raphinha on show. Wolves and Newcastle, very similar, attacking likes of Jimenez and Saint Maxim. And the late kickoff, Brighton and Arsenal. A very, very interesting game. Is Arsenal form going to continue? Is Brighton going to show how good they really are because they have an impressive start to the season? If they won the game against Crystal Palace, they would have finished top of the log at the end of game week 6. That just shows you how good they've been. Going on to Sunday, Crystal Palace and Leicester. Both the teams looking very much up and down, form a bit inconsistent. Crystal Palace look much improved under Patrick Vieira. Leicester look slightly weaker this season, but they all have a good quality team, and maybe they can turn it around against Crystal Palace. Spurs and Aston Villa. I'm actually calling it that Aston Villa will probably win that game. Spurs are in disarray, they can't score goals and they can't defend. And Aston Villa looks really, really sharp. Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings look really, really good. Bundia and Bay have quality if they come onto the pitch. There's some real good games there. And the fixture of the weekend, Liverpool against Man City. Man City beat Chelsea, but then they went on to lose against PSG. What are they going to do away from home against Liverpool? It's been a bit of a bogey ground for City. Going to Liverpool is not always the easiest fixture for anybody. And it's a big game this early on in the season. If City beat Liverpool, it's back-to-back wins against arguably second and third predicted places. My prediction for the season will probably be Man City, then Liverpool, then Chelsea, then Man United. That's my order for the top 4. But in all reality, any one of the top 4, if they go on a really good run and it's tough fall for them, any one of those top 4 can actually challenge for the title. But if City go on and beat Chelsea and beat Liverpool, they've just back-to-back weekends beaten the second and third place teams, which is really big, and it puts a really big early marker down in the season. Before last week, everyone was saying Chelsea looks so good, Chelsea look unstoppable, who's going to stop them? And then City absolutely dominated them the whole game. By the end of the game, everyone was like, okay, wait, Chelsea aren't that good, City's back. Because of the performance especially. The 1-0 scoreline doesn't look that big, but City had chance after chance. It could have easily been 3-0. That's how dominant it was. If City can repeat the trick against Liverpool, then the whole league is open. And then the whole league is back to, wait, who can beat City? It's away games against big teams. So let's say if they can pull it off. As a City fan, I'll be happy with just a draw. But that's it. Let's look at what the chances are for this week. We saw the points from last week. Trent injured, and I spoke about Jota, and that is where my transfers are going to happen. Long-term bowling through, Rudiger and Raphinha are in. You have to jump on the Chelsea fixture turn. This is unstoppable. This 7 to about 12 to 14 game week is really good. Even going through, Man United isn't that bad. The fixture run is really good, all the way through to fixtures 20, and then it takes a little turn for 3 weeks. So jumping on a Chelsea defender can be there for the very long term. The reason I only have one Chelsea defender is because I'm quite not sold on their attack as of yet. I would like to have Lukaku in my team, but at this moment, looking at Ronaldo's fixture turn here against Liverpool, Tottenham, City and Chelsea, that could be a good place to give Ronaldo a break, bring Lukaku in for their great fixture run, and then when we get to fixture 15, you can make the call then of saying, do you want to double up or not? I don't want to put so much money in my attack. I want to spread my money and I only want one premium attacker. My mind could be changed after the next week or two if both of them really pull off big games. But I'm not sold yet to have both of them and put all my money in attack. I want to have the likes of Raphinha and Sarr in my team, and I want to have a solid defense. I still have 3.7 million in the bank after those 2 transfers. So current plans for possibility is after this week, you don't want to drop Shane Duffy for Norwich. But I'm also have the possibility of wanting to bring in Cancelo against Burnley. So I don't want to bring in a City defender right now. They're playing against Liverpool, so that would be unwise. But the possibility of bringing in Cancelo for maybe Livramento, whose fixtures also turn really good, so I don't want to drop him either. So maybe I'll give it a 1 week break and I'll make the call. Shane Duffy versus Norwich or Cancelo versus Burnley. If there is no other urgent need in my squad, then it would likely be Cancelo moving into Duffy's spot. But if we see that Torres still doesn't play any minutes, and in the midweek fixtures or in the international break, he doesn't seem much involved, there could be a call to take and replace Raphinha replace Torres straight away with another similar player. I've got 3.7 in the bank. Torres could easily become the likes of Grealish or Foden if Foden continues to keep to start. I want to have a City attacker because of their consistent high goal scoring output. Similar to Salah, fixture run doesn't turn too bad. He's a quality player. Yes, it's not the easiest with City and United, but with Watford and Brighton, who's got a solid defense to be fair, you have to keep him in your team. It's not worthy of dropping him. So this is my team going forward. Really happy with that. Raphinha coming in for this fixture run. Similar to Jimenez, you can't handpick fixtures that are better than this. It's absolutely the easiest run of fixtures that you can find throughout the season. Similar to what Chelsea's going through now, and similar to what Wolves have at this very moment. It's the easiest run of fixtures you can have, so they have to bank off. Antonio looks quite solid. Fixtures don't look horrible. Brentford at home's defense has been really good, but I think Antonio can break that. His form has been exceptional. I'm still a bit concerned about the captaincy of Ronaldo against Everton. Ronaldo hasn't looked as involved. He looks to get on the end of chances, but not that much creating for himself. And United have looked a little bit sloppy in midfield. I'm hoping that the miss for Bruno at the penalty spot means that Ronaldo now becomes a penalty taker, because that is a big reason why a person would want Ronaldo in your team instead of Bruno. But if you go for who else is a captaincy pick, Antonio against Brentford. Brentford's defense has been so solid. You can't really do that. Raphinha and Sarr are solid players against leaky defenses in honesty, but you can't rely on a player like that as your captain. And Jimenez, he just scored his first goal. Yes, it's at home against Newcastle and he's likely to score again, but you can't bank on that. I'm going to stick to Ronaldo against Everton. Man United in the past have looked really good against Everton, so let's hope that they can repeat the trick and Ronaldo can get on the end of 1 or 2 chances. My defensive lineup, I'm really happy. Semedo and Rudiger, I'm almost nailing it in as clean sheets. It has to be. That is my goal. If this weekend is going to be a good weekend, both of those have to be clean sheets. Another part of my team that's a bit of a struggle for me now, like I mentioned with Duffy, is that Duffy, Sanchez and White are all playing against each other. That is a problem. If the game ends up 1-1, all 3 of them only get 6 points between the 3. But if the game ends 0-0 and I keep 3 clean sheets, that'll be a big win for me. So there's a slight risk going for 3 defenders that are all playing against each other. But at this moment, Torres against Liverpool, Livramento against Chelsea, and Allen against Man United, there is not much of a choice for my bench. And looking at Sanchez versus Foster, who do I think is more likely to score goals? Leeds at home or Arsenal away from home? Now, Arsenal's form has turned. Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe has looked really good, but they're still not up to the standard. They're still not a free-flowing goal-scoring team. Let's quickly look at the fixtures and their results. Prior to Tottenham, as I mentioned in the last game, they've only scored 2 goals all season. So Tottenham's 3-0 will maybe slide your viewpoint. Now they look like a good team. But before that, they only scored 2 goals in the previous 5. So 2 goals in the previous 5 means that their attack isn't that great. So I think I can take the gamble on doubling up the Brighton defense. I don't think Watford will keep a clean sheet against an attacking Leeds team. Yes, similarly, Leeds haven't looked that good, but it's only against Liverpool that they haven't scored a goal. Every other game, they score a goal, and they consistently do that. They're an all-out attacking team, and Raphinha is likely to get on the end of most of it. I don't think that Foster will keep a clean sheet against Leeds. So I'm more willing to go for the risk of Sanchez against Arsenal. And that is my team for this week. I don't know what to do. My defense doesn't look shaky, and I don't want to take any hits to maybe bring in someone else. Salah against City is not the ideal fixture. But my reliance this week is going to fall on Raphinha, Sarr, and Jimenez. If the Wolves fixture, that double up, is very important, and the Watford versus Leeds game is also extremely important. If that's a free-flowing 3-3, and both of them get a goal and an assist, it spells great things for this weekend. So a bit unsure about this week, but let's hope. Let's be patient, and don't take any risks of taking big hits in the team to try and force Lukaku into your team. Against Southampton, whose defense has been good. Otherwise, I'm quite really happy with my team. Really big green arrows consistently over the last few weeks. Just want to make sure, after everyone that's played wildcards now, at least stabilize, stay within the top 700,000. That's it. That's it for me for this weekend. Enjoy the footy. The City supporter in me hopes that Salah and Ronaldo don't score. I hope that Man United drop a few points and that City beat Liverpool. But all in all, this is FPL. You have to take the bias out of it and just enjoy the footy on its own and enjoy FPL on its own. Take care, have a good weekend, and see you guys soon.